Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be unboxing a small order I placed recently with Choosing Keeping in London. I couldn't unbox it without sharing it with you because there's something in this order that I've never tried before. I actually went onto their site to place an order for a watercolor pad that I use often in my work that I really love, but I got kind of tempted by a couple of other items too, so I'm going to share them with you and then I'll create some artwork at the end. So here we have 3 packages. There actually should be 4 items in total, so I'm assuming one of them has a couple of items in. I love how they're still using their gorgeous bird stickers and these lovely glassine envelopes to wrap things in. This has been wrapped in bubble wrap because it's a little bit more delicate. I'm going to have to cut the bird. I hate doing this. So this was the pad of paper that I needed to replace because I had one of these in my first Choosing Keeping order way back in, I think it was like the late summer of 2020, and I've loved using this paper. So it's watercolor paper. Hopefully if I tilt it like that you'll be able to see. So the paper isn't super thick, but it's actually a really nice weight. It handles most applications of watercolor, gouache. I like to use it also for mixed media and for coloured pencils. I really like this very light texture. It's really lovely paper. I haven't found it anywhere else. It's called the Aquarella Pad. 17 by 24 centimetres, really nice size. It says 270 gram paper on the back here, 100% cotton, and you get 20 sheets. I do have a larger pad as well that I bought, I don't know, sometime last year, but this size in particular I find really suits my usual way of working because I do tend to work quite small when I'm working in watercolour. So yeah, it's perfect for that. Really love this, would highly recommend it for watercolour. I do actually want to make a video on different types of paper that I'm loving, and this is definitely one of them. So yeah, I ordered that, and while I was on there, well, let's have a look at this actually. First of all, this was a little impulse purchase. It's actually a multicoloured pencil with Choosing Keeping on it. I'm going to try that out later. And the other pad I have here, I actually have a larger version of this, but I have the entirely grey pad, whereas this one has lots of different colours. So you get this lovely blue-grey, and that was sort of almost peachy kind of tan colour. Got what looks like a navy blue. I don't know if they call that black, but it's more of a navy blue. Really nice colour. And there you go, sort of a stone beige colour, a pale minty green, and a very natural white. And apparently this paper is made from the waste products from the textile industry, I believe. Anyway, I've really liked it for drawing on. I haven't used it very much for painting. I'd like to experiment with that actually. It's relatively thick. It's quite a nice weight of paper, but yeah, really nice for dry media. I'm going to test it with other media and I'll let you know. But yeah, I have a larger pad. It's just the grey one. I've used it a bit, really liked it, want to use it more. I saw this one and just thought it'd be fun to experiment with the different coloured toned papers. So that is another fun little pad to have a look at some point. But what we're going to be looking at today mainly is what's in here. So I'm going to open this now. Okay, so this is really nice. They've actually wrapped this in brown paper. Put another one of their little bird stickers on in that gorgeous royal blue colour. Okay, so we'll open this up. It's really like having some presents to unwrap. I'll be very careful. So these are Diane Townsend Wet and Dry Pastels, and I have had my eye on these, in particular this set. It's the portrait set. They do two portrait sets. I've chosen A, portrait set A. You get 12 pastels in here. Now, I don't paint or draw portraits, but I just loved this colour palette, and you'll see why when I take the lid off, if I can get the lid off. So nicely packaged. A thick piece of foam in there as well. Okay, so look at this. Isn't that a beautiful colour palette? Really loved these earthy colours mixed in with the pale blue, the pale pink, and this really bright sort of corally pink as well. I'm excited to try these. I have, as I said, had my eye on these for about 1.5 years, and I kept looking at them, and I thought I don't want to buy them if I'm not going to use them. So I had to be sure that I wanted to get into using pastels, and I actually I bought some pastels, some soft pastels last year, I think, or maybe even a little bit longer ago than that, from Jackson's, and I swatched them and I loved them, but I couldn't think how to use them in my work. I was a little bit stuck when it came to actually using them. I was a little bit worried about the mess they create as well, because obviously they're very soft and so the dust goes everywhere. But I have since learned, and I learned this from Crixis, whose channel I watch. She was saying that you can use pastels with water, so you can wet them, and actually on the Choosing Keeping site they talk about the fact that you can use these wet or dry. And so I'm thinking this could open up a whole new world for me regarding pastels, because not only can I use them dry as like the first layer in a mixed media piece, I can also use them a bit like watercolour. So we're going to try these wet and dry today, and I'm going to be experimenting with these for the first time. And my other pastels, I think the colours will go beautifully with them. So I've very much kept that in mind when choosing this set. And I'm hoping that this is going to be the start of me actually using those gorgeous pastels that I bought a while ago. And yeah, I'll be talking to my patrons about those. So if you're interested in more of this kind of content, head on over to Patreon, because there will be a pastel video up on there soon where I'm experimenting, showing the colour palette I chose and all of that. But for today, we're going to be looking at these ones. So I think that what I need to do is get a piece of paper and start experimenting. The paper I'm going to be swatching on, because I sometimes forget to say, is just a cheap paper I have. It's one I tend to use for swatching. I'll sometimes use the Bockingford paper, but this one is the Arteza cold pressed. I think it's their £140 paper. So it's quite stiff. It's quite a nice paper if you just want to try things out. I save my good paper, my 100% cotton paper, for artwork, so I tend to use these types of paper for swatching. But the Bockingford, by the way, is a really good paper for both, and it's one that I used for absolutely years before I moved on to the 100% cotton paper. Anyway, let's try this Choosing Keeping pencil, this multicoloured pencil. I'm just going to draw a bit of a line, and I'm going to twist as I go. That is so pretty. Oh, I love that. Let's just try and do a little swatch and see what happens, and I will twist it as I go, or turn it as I go, should I say. Look at that. That's really pretty, isn't it? This could be fun for certain sketches. Or if you want to like write a card or something and have it look really pretty, like a birthday card. I'm really liking that. I don't know why I'm doing flowers. Just thought it might be something quite easy to Okay, yeah, that's cute. It's just a fun little thing really, isn't it? Sorry about the noisy, I don't know what that is in the background, a hedge cutter. I have the window open because it's quite a hot day today. So there we go, that's really cute. Like that, that's a lot of fun. So I think that was like £2.50 or something. Just a fun little thing to have. Okay, let's have a look at these Diane Townsend Artist Pastels Portrait Set A. So let's pop that over there. And so first of all, I'm going to swatch these in the dry form. Okay, so they seem to have numbers on them. So that one's 47. Danger, harmful if inhaled, warning. Okay, that's a little bit worrying, but we'll try not to inhale it. Okay, so this is number 47. And I'm just going to do a little swatch of it dry there. And see how it looks when I rub it in with my finger there. That is a really pretty pink. I'm liking that. Okay, I'm going to write down the number underneath. We'll also try them wet after I've swatched them all dry. So apparently these are slightly more gritty. They have a bit more of a texture than soft pastels usually have. They feel really nice to work with. You see, this is what I worry about with soft pastels, is the amount of dust that comes off, and if it's not good to inhale it, you have to be really careful, don't you? So I think this is why they could be good to use wet as well, so we won't have so much of that problem. What did I say that number was? Is that 100? What do you think? Is that 100? I have no idea. We'll just say it is for the sake of this. I literally cannot read what they've written. Is that 56? 36? I don't actually know. I mean, it looks like it's the start of an 8. Is that the right way? Should it be up that way? I don't know. I'm really confused. Oh yeah, there we go. I tell you what, we're going to ignore the numbers because I actually can't read them. I'm sure somewhere online it will say actually which colours you get in the portrait set. Oh, these are fun to play around with. Beautiful strong colours as well. Now my fingers are going to be really, really dirty for doing the rest. I think what I'm going to do after I've swatched them and we've tried them dry and then wet, I'm going to use them wet for a painting and try and actually do something with them. I don't know how much this one will show up. It's just going to be white, isn't it? Yeah. It's like drawing with a stone. Love the shape of them. This gorgeous organic shape. My hands are filthy. This colour, look at that. That's beautiful, isn't it? Sorry, that noise outside is really annoying. But we're keeping it real here on the channel. Life happens and goes on around us. We just have to deal with it. I want to try this blue one. Beautiful colour. Oh wow. Lovely yeah, my colours are mixing. Let's try that one again. People who work with pastels, how do you cope with the mess? Because I so want to use them, but I find the dustiness of them, the messiness of them, a bit of a problem. And also the fact that when you want to blend them, how do you blend them without the colours on your fingers going into the other colour? I don't know. It's all a bit new to me. I just know that I am intrigued by these, and I love the colour palette. And I really, really want to use pastels in my mixed media work, so I want to persevere with them. And finally, we have this lovely green. Let's put that there. Oh, that's nice. They're a gorgeous palette of colours. Okay, what I'm going to do, let's get some water here. Should we just push those back in? I might need to be getting them out again in a minute though, so right, I'm going to get a brush and some water. We're just going to see how they look when we wet them, and we'll see when they're dry how much they'll stay on the paper, or will they smudge or transfer, perhaps if you're working in a sketchbook. But I'm just going to take the top part and do this. Oh, I love them wet actually, and that combination of wet and dry could actually be quite interesting. You see, I'm imagining these as like the base for some of my mixed media pieces, where I could perhaps work on top in pen, or, oh, this is a nice one. Work on top in pen or pencil or neocolor, something like that. I mean, I'm going to do the white. We can't see it, but I'll do it anyway. It's actually going to get mixed in with the other colours, isn't it? Wash the brush a bit better. But I love that you can actually specifically use these ones wet and dry. They were sold as wet and dry pastels, which I haven't seen with other soft pastels. Gorgeous. It is like working with watercolour, really. So this was my mixture, my unintentional mixture of the coral and the pale blue. So we'll wet that too. So I think I've made quite a nice colour there. I know that pastels are meant to be blended, aren't they? I'm just wondering how you control it, you know. If any of you are pastel artists, let me know. Any tips, techniques? Do you use yours wet as well as dry? I'd love to know that as well. And what do you fix them with? I do actually have some Pastel Fixative. I did test it the other day on my other pastels that I have. It seemed to work quite well actually, but my goodness, I had to do it outside because it smelt so strong. And yeah, it wasn't good to be breathing that in, I think. Yeah, I think they look beautiful wet. Really nice. Okay, we will leave those to dry, and then I'm going to come back and we'll just see how much they stay on the paper, whether we can smudge them or whether we can perhaps work over the top of them. I'm going to give that a little go, and then I'm going to move on to creating some artwork with these. So I left these for a few minutes to dry, and I'm going to see whether when they're wet, when they've been wet, Do they smudge? They do a little bit, yeah. So that's just something to be aware of. So you might have to potentially fix, use some fixative on your finished artwork, or just protect it slightly. But some colours seem to smudge more than others. That's my dirty finger from the other one. Yeah, some colours are more smudgy than others. The darker ones, unsurprisingly, are a little bit more. Okay, I want to see how well, actually, let's just try going over the top. This is a Caran d'Ache Luminance Dark Indigo pencil. Goes over the top really nicely, actually. Wet or dry. Sort of blend the pencil in there a bit, actually. If it was dry, if you're using it over the top of the dry pastel. Yeah, it really goes over the top nicely though. So one other thing we could try is Neocolor. I just want to go and get a Neocolor crayon and see whether that will go over the top nicely. And then I'm going to create some artwork. I have an idea of what I want to do. This is a Neocolor 1, so it's not water soluble like the Neocolor 2. Yeah, it will kind of go over. You can kind of go over the top of the dry version. Obviously it will go over the top nicely where it's been used more like watercolor. Yeah, it's a bit more difficult over the top of the dry, but yeah, you can pretty much cover over the top of the wet section where it's been wet and then has dried. Okay, right, let's make some artwork. For this quick sketch, I decided to use Jackson's own brand watercolor paper. It's pretty good. This is the hot press version. I tend to just use it when I'm trying out different materials, seeing how they'll layer, rather than for finished artwork, so it was perfect for a sketch like this. So I started by applying the pastels directly to the paper and then got a watercolor brush and just kind of loosely blended them out a little bit, and tried to leave some of the lovely texture and marks that you get when you apply the pastel directly to the paper. I really wanted the first layer of this piece to have that gorgeous texture. So in this respect, they're different to watercolours. You may think that it's kind of similar to using watercolour as your base layer, and in some ways it is, but they seem to have a lot more texture, and I tried to incorporate that into this sketch. Then I decided to work on top with coloured pencils, just adding some extra colour, details and patterns, and I have to say I really enjoyed working on this piece. It's not perfect, it's just a sketch, but it does actually show me what I could do with these pastels. I think probably for me I'm more likely to use them wet than dry, and I think they could be a really good addition to my mixed media materials. thank you all so much for watching. If you've made it this far into the video and you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, because that helps my videos to reach more people on YouTube and it helps my channel to grow. So thank you if you decide to do that. Thank you if you're a subscriber. A huge thank you to my patrons on Patreon. And I will see you again soon in another video. Take care everyone, and bye for now.